Hello, and welcome to What's Your Story? I have a great guest for you today. I've been chasing this guest for a year trying to get him on this show. He is a naturopathic doctor. He's been in the natural products industry for over 4 decades. And I'm just going to start with the interview and find out as much as I can about him and share that with you. So be with us and be happy that you're here with us. You're going to learn a lot. Okay? Dr. Jeffrey Burke. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. It's lovely. And yes, I have been a little elusive, but thank you for pinning me down and making this work today.
Well, you're such a busy person.
True.
I mean, you are all over the world, and recently you are doing some major thing. You're a master herbalist as well. So we want to know all about those things that you're doing. You know, I believe in naturopathic medicine so much, having been through it and overcoming the cancer myself.
True.
Due to that. So that's why I want to share you with everybody.
Thank you. Oh, I've been very blessed to be in my industry for 4.5 decades now. I am loving what I do. And I've been able to grow with the natural products industry, coming from a time when things were almost considered witchcraft.
Yes.
To a point now when doctors are now doing testing for individual nutrients and blood profiles and checking for vitamin D and omega-3s and all these wonderful things. And as the industry has continued to, move along and kind of like be a metamorphosis out there, we know more now, but I think our biggest problem is we're still not personally doing what we should be doing. We're sitting back. It's not that we don't know what to do. We do. But life gets in the way, and we have a tendency to not be focusing on things. And the quickest way to motivate somebody to focus on themselves is for them to get sick.
Yes.
And then they all of a sudden want to do everything.
Yes. My sister was into herbs. She was an herbalist, and she tried to get me to do naturopathic type medicine for years. And it wasn't until I got cancer and the doctor said, "Oh, you have to do chemo and radiation." And I was like, "No, I can't do that. I can't do that." That I decided to explore and totally changed my life. But if I hadn't gotten sick, I wouldn't have done it.
I think sometimes our motivations are kind of sidelined because we have so much going on. And we sometimes take on way more than we can handle. A lot of us have a tendency not to say no. A lot of us take things on and we're juggling continuously. And then we're helping this person or this job or this goal or this project. And we have pushed ourselves so far back on the back burner as far as having any kind of priority that we get lost.
Mhm.
And then we just don't know where to start at that point because we haven't been listening. So we really don't know where the starting point is.
Yeah. And my oncologist told me that when he went through medical school, he only had 4 hours of training on nutrition.
Yep.
And so, a lot of us don't even know about nutrition.
Mhm.
And the nutrition that we had growing up is not what we consider nutrition today. So would you say Americans are healthier today or unhealthier than we were maybe 20 or 30 years ago?
I think we know a lot more than we used to know, but I think we're much more unhealthy than we were before. And part of that is the way we eat and the foods that we crave and the food companies today that have found amazing ways of making terrible quality food taste wonderful, almost to the point where we crave it, and we do.
Yeah.
And processed food has gotten very easy. The convenience and the price of doing things and fast food and, easy, quick junk food, drive-through windows. But I don't think we're healthier. We don't know how to unwind. We don't know how to decompress. People don't meditate. They don't exercise. They don't take hot lavender baths to chill down at the end of the day. We self-medicate in many different ways. We don't hydrate. Dehydration is one of the biggest problems out there.
Yes.
My friends work triage in the hospital, and they will say almost every other person that comes into the emergency room is dehydrated. That many. He said they don't drink enough water. People eat so many high caloric foods. We eat way too many complex carbohydrates and sugar. Sugar is one of the biggest problems leading to most of the cardiovascular problems that we have. And I think people really do want to feel better. I think they want to have a better, healthier life. but they may have done something half-heartedly. I was speaking with a lecturer last week, and I was speaking with a lady, and she goes, well, I did this because my friend did it, and I did this because my coworkers did it. Nothing's ever worked for me. And I said, have you ever gone, let's say, to a good health food store, had a conversation that was about you, not your friends, and got ideas so you could formulate something that worked just for you? And she said, well, no, I always kind of jump on what everybody else is doing. I said, it's okay, but it may not be for you. Obviously, it's not.
Right.
And then, we're impatient. We want results by Friday. We want to be able to feel better by the end of the week. And you can't keep doing this because, it took us a while to get into this mess situation. It's going to take us a while to get out of it. But, be patient, persevere. I tell people, ask questions. Today's health food stores have dramatically changed. There's so many people that are there that can help you narrow things down and really answer and give you the groundwork, and then you can take it from there.
Well, for years, I wouldn't go in a health food store because I thought everybody that was in there looked sick.
Yeah, there was that time.
There was a time when they were also unhealthy looking. Their
Yep.
skin was like unhealthy looking.
Pasty.
Yeah.
I remember those years.
Is it ever too late to get healthy?
No. I think that the earlier we start, the better golden years we will have. But can we have an off-colored gold if we start later in life? Absolutely. And if you take away bad things that you're doing now and replace them with better, healthier options and make better lifestyle choices, you're going to naturally be better. And can we regain all of what we've done? No. But can we make a noticeable difference that may just keep us from going down a road that we were heading toward? I think so. Now, obviously, genetics are things that we have to focus on. We have to remember that there's many things that we've created ourselves by the way we've lived and the choices we've made. And, we've created an unhealthy path. But can you make changes? Absolutely. And I see it a lot in the medical today. Like I lecture at hospitals. I talk with doctors today that never would have even entertained
Right.
a conversation, and I do big lectures at hospitals. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of doctors in the audience. And it's funny because most of them are asking about themselves. What can I do to be better? What can I do for my wife to make her healthier, or my husband? Because I don't want to put them on these drugs that
Yeah.
I'm recommending, or they're really ill and nothing's working. I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry to say that sometimes it's a desperation plea, but if desperation and frustration is what leads you down a healthier path, we'll take it.
Yes, most definitely. Most
Mhm.
definitely. I know that when I had the cancer, the doctor put me on a very strict diet,
Mhm.
and it was amazing because it's totally changed the way I eat, and I've stayed with it ever since. I've never gone back.
Yep.
But every now and then,
Mhm.
you go out to a banquet or something, and they serve
You
cheesecake or
devil.
a big brownie or something, and you think, well, it's only once in a while. But the problem is, once in a while becomes 2 or 3 times a week.
It's very true. But into your point, I do think it's wonderful for us to be able to indulge once in a while. I was talking with a lady yesterday. I was down in Florida for a convention, and she said to me, she said, I've been getting so healthy, but I'm craving a piece of pizza. I said, have one. She said, well, I said, why not have one? What's going to happen if you don't have one piece now? You're going to be ordering an extra large pizza and eat the entire thing when you're home alone. So why not have one? So she did. She went out that night, had a salad and a piece of pizza, came up to me the next day and gave me a hug. And this is when I got down to Florida. And I said, how you doing? She goes, I feel great. I said, do you feel guilty? She goes, no.
No.
I said, that's, you deserve to be able to, and if food makes you feel good, choose well. If you can do 80-20, if you can do really healthy 80% of the time and 20% of the time kind of tiptoe outside the path, you're still way ahead of most people. I talked to somebody the other day. He said, I'm moving so slow and I go to the gym and I'm always the last one to finish the race. I'm always the last one to get done with the workout. And I said, yes, but you're running laps around the people sitting on the couch
Yes.
who haven't even started.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
I love that 80%, 20%.
Mm-hmm.
That makes me feel a lot better
Oh, yeah.
because every time I cheat, I just feel guilty for
Mhm.
days. And it's
It's a way of celebrating yourself, celebrating the wonderful things that you do and the choices that you make and the lives that you change, and and the amazing things that we do not pat ourselves on the back enough for. You can't sit back and wait for other people to give you that gratification, although many people do, and people say sometimes people would rather have a praise than a raise, because they're looking for that, foundation of acceptance. But there's nothing wrong with reaching around and patting yourself on the back and recognizing your strengths and your accomplishments and the wonderful things that you do, because we have to be our biggest fan.
yes, yes, yes. That's one of the things I've admired about you. I've watched you on Facebook, and you always have positive things to say. You don't have much negative, except
Mhm.
when you find somebody out in the world doing something negative. You seem to fix them.
I do, and I call them out. I know I do. It's probably going to be my demise one of these days. But there's life is too short. And I don't like it when people are treated badly, talked down to, taken advantage of, and when other people are doing the right things and everybody's trying to do all the shortcuts to get things. That bothers me. It probably shouldn't. I mean, I'm one of those people that goes crazy when people don't put their carts back in the rack
Yes.
at the grocery store. I mean, those things shouldn't bother me, but they do. And if I see people being abusive to the people they're with, I do step in. I shouldn't, but I do. Somebody needs to,
Yeah.
and other people may want to, but they don't want to get involved. And like I said, it's probably not the smartest thing these days, as we see things getting kind of crazy out there. But I can't change who I am, and I think
Well, I don't
everybody.
think anybody wants you to change who you are. Yeah,
Thank you.
we kind of admire the way you are.
Thank you.
That's what's so cool about it.
It's very kind.
Is there an age when we should take vitamins, or should we learn about vitamins? I mean, some people just go and start taking a multivitamin at middle age, because they think, oh, maybe I should be taking vitamins. But is there a way to do it correctly?
When I first started in the industry 4.5 decades ago, I probably would not have talked to people about vitamins until they were well in their 50s. We never used to talk to people about calcium until they were in their 60s. We didn't know that osteoporosis started early. But also at that time, people were eating real food.
Yes.
At one point in time, everything was organic until we screwed it up and changed it and added all the chemicals. So when you were growing up, I grew up in the Midwest. We had a farm. We knew where the chickens came from. The milk came from farms in the area. We had vegetables in our own garden. We knew where our food came from. Today, we don't even know what country it comes from.
No.
So to answer your question, women that are pregnant usually take omega-3s because it helps the DHA, the functioning of the brain of the baby. Also taking minerals and taking a prenatal helps to slow down any problems that may happen, during pregnancy. I think it's amazing. And then continuing it for breastfeeding, I think it's amazing. I think that today we need to start our children off as early as possible. Obviously, they have to be able to swallow, but I have a lot of parents that have 2 and 3-year-olds. They make smoothies, and they put things like flaxseed and flaxseed oil, and they put some protein in there, maybe some greens, and they mix it up with fruit, and the kids love it. They think it's an ice cream shake.
Yes, yes.
But starting early, because of the diet that kids eat today, and once you turn them loose into public schools, it's just garbage. So if you're not filling the gaps and the cracks and crevices as a child, a teenager, a young adult, a middle age, or a geriatric, you are leaving open areas of your body not nutritionally balanced and supported. So long-worded answer. I think everybody should be taking a few things every day. And I have a list of 5 things that I think people should really think about using. Number 1, a multivitamin to fill all the cracks and crevices. There's many wonderful ones out there. There's vegan, there's vegetarian if you choose today. You're now being supported as well in the industry. You weren't for a long time. I think an omega-3, and there's also vegetarian forms that come from algae. I also think that it's really important for everyone today, because of the mass amount of digestive and gut disorders that are out there, to take a probiotic every day to build healthy culture. I think a digestive enzyme, because there was a time when our enzyme action in our gastrointestinal tract would start to be a problem when we were maybe 50 and 60. It's starting now in our 20s and 30s. So a good digestive enzyme. And then I think that some kind of a green product of some kind, because we don't get a good amount of greens. And most of the greens we get today are coming from most soils that have very little nutritional value. So and funny, and to this own point of my own is there was a time when organic was it was the thing.
It's not still the way to go, is it?
Well, yes and no. Somebody asked me one time, they said, "Are you still a believer in organic?" And I said, I am, but probably not for the reason you think. I'm an advocate of organic. Number one, if you can afford it, because it's more expensive. Number two, because of the fact that there is no chemicals, pesticides, preservatives, additives added to organic at all. Number three, the problem comes in is they're still using soils, and today they're not rotating soils as much. The soils are barren. They're very, very depleted. So you may be getting the same nutritional value as something with chemicals. You're not getting much more nutritional value. You're just not getting the pesticides. So I'm an advocate, but I'm really now focusing a lot more on regenerative.
I was going to ask you about that. What are regenerative foods?
Well, it's funny. I've been working with a company for about 4 or 5 years, and I had the possibility with a friend of mine, a really great friend of mine, Rick Scalzo. He founded a company called Gaia Herbs 30 some years ago, biggest herbal company in the industry. And he made amazing changes to the face of people using herbs and understanding them. Well, after 30 some years, he sold his company 5 years ago, and I thought he was done, but he wasn't. He decided that what he is going to do now is he went to Costa Rica. He bought a 150-acre agricultural ranch, and it was just certified regenerative and organic, and they got a gold standard on their soil, which has never been done either here in the States or in Costa Rica. And he's growing these beautiful herbs, and I had the chance to come on with him, and I just literally came back from Florida where I'm launching his new line. And because regenerative is quite amazing. So the difference is regenerative, where organic is about the fruits of your labors, what you're eating, what you're getting from the crops. Regenerative is that. But regenerative is also saving and preventing the soil from becoming extinct and blowing away and losing the soil and not having that healthy soil balance and not being able to absorb carbon from the air. So on his ranch, what he does is they don't till, they hand plant everything, and they grow crops and ground cover in between what they're growing to protect the soil. And then what they do is, this is kind of funny, they mix up something. It's known in Costa Rica as emi. And emi is kind of like a natural fertilizer. They go out into the woods at these big trucks and they scoop up branches and leaves and debris and some ground cover, mushrooms if they see it. And they take all this beautiful, healthy stuff and they take it back to the farm and they coat it with maple syrup and molasses and coffee grounds and eggshells and all this stuff. And they make this kind of a gooey mess and they fill these big 50-pound bags. Looks like a tea bag. And they put the 50-pound bags in a 200-gallon container and they let it soak for 3 weeks. Then they squeeze it out and all the stuff leaches out of it. And they use that as their fertilizer.
Amazing.
And it nourishes. The plants are beautiful. He's growing turmeric and ashwagandha and passion flower and holy basil, and everything is beautiful and green and gorgeous. But they don't till the soils, because this is a good fact for you. We have 60 years left of topsoil on our planet. 60 years. That's all we have left of the actual topsoil.
That's
because
amazing.
it's either ended up in the ocean or it's blown away somewhere. We also have lost 50% of our insects that are no longer here anymore. We need them to be able to pollinate. Our bees are dying of bacterial infections and viral infections in the hives. Our birds are down by like 40%. So we have got to do something. And I'm not one of those people that are hugging trees and doing all that kind of stuff. I just think we all need to do something. And if regenerative is starting to really make a difference, you're not just making a difference on what you're growing because it's so much healthier and better. You're also protecting the soil from being bad. They say that we borrow the soil from our children, because it's not our soil. It's the next generation's soil. What are we leaving them? In this country, we're leaving them a big, gigantic deficit. Because of the government and all that kind of stuff, spending a lot of money. We do not need to lead them with soil that doesn't work anymore, and they're not going to be able to grow anything.
That's amazing.
And the population's increasing.
Wow.
So we have to feed them.
That is absolutely amazing. When I grew up in South Texas, and we had 28 inches of topsoil in the valley where I lived. And so we had 4 crops a year. every
Nice,
year.
nice.
And it was a wonderful place to grow up with all that fresh fruit. And then, of course, my dad had acres and acres of fruit orchards, like oranges and grapefruit and avocados and
Love
things.
it.
It was a wonderful place to grow up.
I love it.
We'd go take a book and go climb up in a tree and eat apples right off of the tree.
I go visit my family in Michigan, and I take a salt shaker with me with Himalayas, and I go sit in the garden and I eat everything I can reach.
Yes.
It's so funny. A friend of mine bought 25 acres up on the top of a mountain area, big hilly area in Oregon. Now, nothing has ever been done there. Nothing's ever been dug, nothing. So he built a home, and he had probably this like 15-acre area, and he decided to turn the soil to see what was there. And he said the soil was almost black. It was so rich. So he decided to plant it. He drew a diagram so that he would know where he planted so he could rotate crops,
Yeah.
because he retired from Boeing and now he's living as a farmer. And his tomatoes, he sent me pictures. They looked like pumpkins.
Oh, wow.
They were so big. And he said, I made a mistake and planted 20 zucchini plants. And after I picked 1,000 zucchinis, he goes, no, everybody wouldn't even answer their door when they saw me coming
They didn't
because
want
I
'em.
was giving zucchini to everybody I met. So he said, there is great soil out there, but the ones that we're using now, we've overdone it.
Yeah, yeah. And we have a soil problem here in Nevada anyway,
We do.
with the sand and everything.
And the caliche.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
If you ever try to plant a tree out here without a gigantic drill bit to make a hole, you understand what caliche is all about.
Yes, you do. So why has the food pyramid changed so dramatically?
Because of the processed food companies. We used to have our pyramids. We learned in school, we were young, about fruits and vegetables and protein and grains and all that kind of stuff. But today, I will ask people when the last time they ate a vegetable, and they can't even tell me. They don't eat vegetables. They don't eat fruits. And second of all, they eat their food too quickly. They don't chew their food. They drink so many carbonated beverages at the same time that they're eating that they're diluting their enzymes. They can't get the full benefit out of it because in many cases, there's not much benefit to get anyway. But processed foods and convenience foods have really inverted the food pyramid. People want it easy. They want it fast. They want it to taste wonderful, which terrible food can taste really good. And then that's what they know. So when you start to talk to them about changing their diet and eating a Mediterranean diet when there's fruits and vegetables and, fish and all those beautiful things, they turn their nose up at it because they'd rather have a burger and fries, or deep fried mozzarella sticks or chicken wings. People know saturated fat foods.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard to make the transition. But when you see a difference in your health and you see a difference in how you're feeling, that makes it worthwhile. You stand back and wonder why you waited, but that transition time is rough.
Well, we seem to think, we in America have everything, and so consequently we should be healthier than everyone else. But when I travel to other countries, they're always fascinated with how heavy set most Americans are. They just cannot get over it. Yep. And it has to do with our food. So that's not healthy, is it?
No, it's not. And we overeat. We have adopted the terminology of comfort food and comfort zone. Now, the thing about a comfort zone is people automatically feel that that's someplace that's comfortable. Well, it's comfortable because it's familiar and it's something that we know. But usually a comfort zone is someplace that's rarely healthy. It's like sitting on the couch, eating food, watching TV on a weekend at your comfort zone, but you're probably eating terrible food and you're inactive. So if you can coordinate some way of finding a balance within your comfort zone, you're going to be able to be much, much better off. But we medicate with food. Food used to be, if you had a farm, when I was a kid, you would get up at 3 a.m, you'd go out, you'd work the farm, you'd work in the fields, you'd come back at about 6 o'clock in the morning, eat a huge breakfast, go back out for another hour or two, and then go to school. Or the farmers would work it all day long. You ate to replenish. You did not eat to medicate. Today we eat to medicate. We do everything with food. We can't just meet up to see each other. We have to meet for breakfast or lunch or dinner or brunch or a drink or a snack. Everything is around food. Yes. Because we have learned to take food and make it our friend. And rather than using it for sustenance, we're using it for comfort and for social.
And the media makes it quite confusing, huh?
Yeah, they do. And they're not adding anything really good to the situation. And the TV commercials, they know exactly what buttons to push. They know exactly how to do their advertisement. They know exactly what time of the day to play an ad that they're going to get somebody that's sitting at home that just lost a job, broke up in a relationship, feeling down, not feeling happy. And that's when people order things. And that's when food delivery services have become so popular. And I heard a comedian the other day. She said, I've got so incredibly lazy. She goes, I order food. She goes, I'm having them deliver to my room in the hotel. She's a comedian. She travels. She said, I'm doing everything but have them put it on the pillow next to me, and whatever falls in my mouth, I chew.
No.
And she goes, we've gotten so incredibly lazy. I heard someone the other day, he said, I wanted to make something for dinner, but all I had was ingredients. Because he didn't have anything pre-made in the freezer. He could throw in the oven real fast or the microwave.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Amazing. So what are your top nutrients that people should be using?
Well, like I mentioned previously, but I think there's one I want to add to it, a multiple vitamin, obviously, a fish oil of some kind, because we need lubrication for the joints, for the skin, also for cardiovascular health and brain health, a probiotic for our gut. But people don't realize that our probiotics also work on our digestive system, but also our elimination cycle, and our gut health actually is connected to our brain health. Yeah. So a probiotic is amazing. A digestive enzyme to finish everything up to make sure that you're getting the most out of everything that you're consuming. And then probably either a good mineral supplement to go along with the greens, but magnesium. We're finding out now that everybody is mostly deficient in magnesium, vitamin D. They're actually testing for vitamin D. When I first started, they used to say vitamin D was toxic and we weren't even allowed to talk about it.
Yes.
Now today, the doctors are saying you're really low. Now I thought I was doing well. I was taking 1,000 units every day and I had my blood checked, and I asked the doctor, I said, do me a favor, check my D. He said, you're not even on the chart. And I'm like, really? So I take 5,000 a day now and my blood levels are perfect.
So it's better to take it that way than to sit out in the sun for 20 minutes?
Yeah. And, people say if you're not at the right angle of the sun and you're not standing with the shadow, in the right way and have the right amount of skin exposed, you're not going to get the D that you need, so taking a D supplement every day is just a really good insurance policy. It's also good for your mood. It's good for your immune system. It makes your calcium work better and get to your bone to make your bone stronger. It's something everybody should be taking as a vitamin D. But the other part of it is we live in the desert. People say all the time, well, you live in Las Vegas, you have perfect vitamin D there because of the sun. I'm like, no, we're not in the sun. We run from the building to the car, from the car to the house, from the house to the car, from the car to work. We don't get out in it. We live here. We know how hot it is in the car when we get in there, but we don't really get out there and soak. The people out in the sun here are the tourists.
Yes.
That are coming to visit us. Right. Getting sunburnt in our sun, so most people are very deficient. And I did see a chart and we're pretty far up the chart for deficiencies of vitamin D because we're not out in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you're the director of education for Kokora Life.
That's that new company that I just started. I'm working with Rick Scalzo, the one that has the plantation down in Costa Rica. It's wonderful. I had a chance. He approached me to come on board and I was just like, I love this. At this stage of my life, I want something I can sink my teeth into, something that will allow me to bring information out that people are just not hearing. We understand organic. We've learned about organic for years and years. Now we need to learn, regenerative, because it's not just about what we're growing, it's about what we're leaving behind. And are we protecting the planet? Are we preparing the planet? Are we making it better? Are we cutting down on emissions? Are we slowing down global warming by growing regeneratively and absorbing carbon down from the atmosphere into the soil? I mean, are we doing the right things? Yes, I want to be part of that.
Yes.
So this it kind of fell in my lap and I was very embracing of it. And I said, this is what I want to do.
Well, I think you're the perfect person for it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. You were on the air for like 42 years or something with a radio show. And now you've done away with that and you're going to be having a podcast.
I ended my radio show last year after 42 years, tens of thousands of radio shows. I was very blessed to be able to work with the most amazing minds in my industry. And I launched hundreds of amazing nutraceutical natural industry product lines over my years. And I was very selective about who I worked with. I wanted to make sure they had standards and they had morals and they had quality and integrity and good sourcing. And I ended it last year because terrestrial radio has changed. Today people are more on the go, and I was told to embrace technology. So, June of this year, I started a brand new podcast. It's called Honest Health with Jeffrey Burke. And I think it's going to do really well. I'm getting some of the best minds in the industry on there. I'm actually doing 2 shows a week now. I'll be up to 4 shows, if not 5 shows by January a week. And I'm bringing on these great minds so people can go and learn the most up-to-date information on how to get healthy, how to be healthy, how to stay healthy. But I'm also going to start bringing in professional athletes and entertainers because I think they have a story. We put a lot of our favorite people, our entertainers and our athletes, on these wonderful pedestals.
Mhm.
I don't want to talk to them about their sport. I don't want to talk to them about their entertaining. I want to talk to them about what they do to prepare themselves to be healthy enough to be able to do that. How do you take care of yourself? How do you deal with the emotional health of being in a stadium with 50,000 people? How do you deal with being on the road in a bus? How do you deal with eating on the go? Do you eat really well? Do you take the time? Do you exercise? Do you get a good amount of sleep? How's your mental health? We want to know, because we
Mhm.
also want to know that we're not alone, that even our favorite people may be struggling a little bit too.
Right,
And
right.
we want to know them from behind the curtain.
Well, it's amazing how many of them really do struggle, and that's why the big drug problem with
Yeah.
entertainers and people like that.
Well, I think people today have really learned how to self-medicate. I think when you're struggling, when you're flailing and you're in the water and you're spinning in circles and you're really having a hard time, I think that any kind of a positive change motion, whether it's good or bad for you, is sometimes something we reach out for because we're so desperate for something different. And it's not always good. But today we do have amazing things. We're learning about herbs and nutrients today that have been used for thousands of years in other parts of the world, and we're learning about it today. People today talk a lot about ashwagandha and turmeric. These have been used in India and around the world in Asian countries for thousands of years. And here we are thinking they're brand new. Our egos are so shallow here that we think we're discovering something that has been used and written in scrolls back from the time of the Greeks, and
Right,
Hippocrates.
right.
And we're like, well, we discovered this. No, it's been here. We just haven't listened. So today I think we're reaching out because people are tired of being over medicated. People are tired of trying to have everybody fit in the same size box, because we don't. We're tired of going to physicians that put everybody on the same medications, even though we don't all respond the same. We need to be able to work with people. And there's a lot of amazing physicians today that listen. They ask questions. They make sure that they're giving you ideas. They want you to do dietary changes first. Try some supplements first. Let's see what we can do without the prescription drugs. And they're my heroes.
Yes, yes. I've been really fortunate to have incredible doctors over the years of going through the cancer and then all of the physical challenges I've had in the last few years. So it's been wonderful. And here I am at elderly age.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, but I seem to be healthier than I've been in
Mhm.
forever. And people say that to me all the time. They go, "You don't look your age. You don't act your age." I had a young man the other night. I was doing a lecture for a speakers group, and I say young. He was probably in his 30s. He raised his hand at the end and says, "Miss Maria, could I just ask you one more question?" And I said, "Yes, what is it?" And he says, "How does an old bird like you have so much energy?" And I said, "Is that a compliment or what?"
It is.
And he goes, "Well, let's face it, you're not a young chick and you've just got tons of energy." And I'm like, "Well, you're right.
All true.
Yes, it is true."
But I feel the same way. I definitely don't act my age. You can ask anybody that's around me. And I don't want to. I want to do everything I can do. Now, I can go down and unload a flatbed of hay for the horses. I'll get it done. I may struggle for a day after, but I can still get it done, and I love to be active. I travel extensively, and that's a lot, going through airports and hotels and being on stage and then in cars and driving long distances within cities and states. but
Yeah,
I
you're
wouldn't
not
trade it.
doing a regular practice here
No,
anymore. You're just out there on the road lecturing and
doing what I
educating the
love to do.
world. Yeah.
Yeah, doing out there and spreading the good word. During the pandemic, I was introduced to Zooms, as we all were, and all I could think about was the Brady Bunch with all those little squares, So I'm doing these big ones, and all of a sudden there's hundreds and hundreds of boxes on my screen. And don't get me wrong, thank goodness for technology.
Yes.
It was lovely. We were able to stay connected during a really terrible time. But my preference is to be in front of people, to be in an aisle of a store, on a stage, in a group, in an auditorium, somewhere where I can have that, face to face kind of action. To me, I think it's so much stronger and so much more well accepted.
Mm,
And I think it's more heartfelt.
I do too. I do too. Do you have a
Mhm.
book?
No, I have one that's close and I'm sitting on it for a long time. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I think the podcast is going to be my legacy for the most part, because I think I'm going to be able to take it to places where you couldn't go with radio. We were talking previously before the show, and I was talking about when I first started doing radio shows, they used to drop a needle on a record, and that for 3 minutes, and that was your break.
Yes.
And then we went to 8 tracks, and then cassette players, and then MP3s, and then discs, and now everything is wireless all within the system. So I've been able to see the changes, and I've also been able to see the changes in my industry. From a very primitive time when we didn't have studies to now we have beautiful PubMed studies and documented hospital studies, Harvard, Mayo Clinic, and all these huge hospitals that are doing studies because they know that we have to do something different.
Hmm.
The road that we're on now cannot sustain the terrible way we're treating ourselves and our ill health.
No,
We have to do something different. We got to put something back.
definitely. Definitely. Wow. You're just so much energy. It's
I
just,
know. I'm sorry.
no, you shouldn't. You shouldn't be sorry. Your energy is wonderful. I was thinking, he said I had energy. Wait, this young man should hear you.
You do have energy, and I think when you love what you do, it doesn't matter what it is, but if you have a passion for it, I've thought over the years, is there something else I want to do? And then I usually ask myself, no, it's not. I love this,
Yes.
and I don't want to retire. Many of my friends my age are already retiring or retired, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I don't want to miss anything."
No.
I said, "I want to know what's new, what's next, and what I can help to make a change with." So no, not
Yeah.
ready.
And what can the rest of us, average people out there, do to make a change?
Pat yourself on the back frequently. Be your loudest fan. Treat your body like a temple, not a bouncy house. You know, do something that makes you move. It could be dancing, it could be walking your dog, it could be but something a little bit every day that allows you to be more fluid and have better motion. Think about what you're eating. Would your great grandmother love what you're eating? Chances are not. Try to eat real food. Have a lot of green on your plate. Plenty of vegetables. Eat more organic if possible. Do a little research on regenerative. You're going to love it. Get a good night's rest. Sleep is so, you know, people just don't think about how important it is.
Yes.
You've got to recharge your batteries. I was doing a lecture a couple of weeks ago, and I said, you know how you feel in the morning when you've got a huge day of phone calls and interviews and your phone is dead because you forgot to plug it in? I said, the panic that comes across and you're looking for plugs all day long to get a charge? Why don't we have that same feeling with our bodies when we let them run down to zero? We don't. And the other thing is, if you're in a group or if you're in an environment where there's nothing but negativity, find a new group.
Oh, definitely.
You don't need to be part of that. It's not worth it. It's negative, and always be around people that lift you up and try not to dim your shine.
Yes.
Because, you're awesome. Appreciate yourself and know how good you are, because that's going to make you even better.
That's such good advice.
Thank you.
Such good advice. I teach art at UNLV, and I had a new group of students in the other day, and they whined and they whined. And every time they would paint a picture, their pictures were great. They'd be like, "Oh, my picture's not very good," and they would whine. So I wrote up a page of artist affirmations. And
I love it.
I'm a great artist. I can paint. I love putting colors together, right? I just wrote up this whole page and I brought it and I gave it to them, made them all stand up and read it out loud. So now if they whine at all, they have to stand up and read the affirmations.
I love it.
And so
I love it.
the other night I dropped a paintbrush on the floor with paint and I said something negative, and one of them said, "Where's your affirmations? You better get your page out and read it," you know. And I was like, yeah, I guess what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
You know, and we're never too old to learn, and we're never too old to develop our passions. If you have a hobby that you had when you were younger and you put it on the back burner to raise your kids, or because you're in a relationship and maybe that relationship's not even going anymore and that person didn't want you to do it or they talked down about it, bring it out.
Yes.
Start it up again. Reestablish that passion. You know, be what you want to be. We're only here for a minute.
I know.
You know, and coulda, shoulda, wouldas are all over people leaving the planet. I should have done this. I wish I would have done this. No. Do it while you're here.
Because it seems like it goes so fast.
Yep.
You know, looking forward, it's slow. But when you look back, you go, oh, was that long ago? Was that
My
that
grandmother
long
was
ago?
in her late 90s when she passed, and she used to always say, I'm not going to tiptoe into my grave. I'm going to slide in there, probably doing something crazy right up to that point in time. So I have absolutely no second guessing myself. She said, because you know what? I've got eternity to push up daisies. She goes, I'm going to run over them while I'm here.
Yes.
And, you know, I miss her every day, but she taught me to appreciate life and love the people you're with. Love your family, whether they're blood or your chosen family.
Yes.
Because I think in many instances today, our chosen families are a lot more important sometimes than our blood families.
Oh, yes.
You know, because we
yes.
choose these people, support them. And if they need to be lifted up, lift them up.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what's amazing? The more you do it, the more they do it for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Last year when I was, I had all those surgeries last year, I had a different person that was on the schedule. One of my art students made a schedule for all my students. A different person came to my house every day and made sure I had dinner and that I got into bed okay. You know, every single day. And the physical therapist said, where did you get all these friends? I don't know anybody that has all these friends. And I said, well, I think it's because I care about them.
You know, I was at a convention this weekend and I just got back, like I mentioned, and I must have had 20, 25 people come up to where I was and they're welcome. They're like, I follow you. I love you. Can I give you a hug? And I'm like, sure. And these are people I don't even know.
I know.
So this is going on. And the person in the section next to me, he goes, do you know these people? I said, I do now. And they're like, I've never seen anything like that. If you treat people with wonderful respect and you support them and you lift them up and you help them be what they need to be and you give them and you're a shoulder when you need it. I do a lot of counseling with young teenagers. It's rough to be a teenager today.
Oh, it is.
And sometimes they don't even feel comfortable talking to their parents.
I know.
You know, so if you can be there for somebody, do it without ever wanting anything back in return.
Yeah.
Just do it because it's the right thing to do.
But it pays off in the long run.
Oh,
it's really amazing how it comes back to us.
It's very true.
So if someone needed to reach out to you in some way, how would they do that?
You can go to my webpage, which is drjeffreyburke.com. When you're there, you can leave me a question. You can reach out to me through there. My number is on there as well. You can also tap on my Honest Health logo and it'll take you to Spotify and you can listen to all of the audio recordings and many more coming. If you tap on the YouTube logo, it'll take you to YouTube and you can watch the interviews.
Wonderful.
But you can reach out to me anytime. People do. I answer hundreds and hundreds of emails every day. Don't hesitate because the question you don't ask is probably the one you need answered.
Oh. What good advice. So thank you for
My
being
pleasure.
here.
Thank you so much.
It's been a real pleasure.
It was an absolute pleasure.
Oh, love having you on the show. And I love having you attend the show with us. Thank you so much for being here with us. And we hope you'll come back again real soon.